Alright, so you start getting these valves out. I got my spring compressor here. Start pulling these things out of the engine. I already took everything out on this cylinder here. So there's one of your intake valves. Not the cleanest looking things on the stems. There's a lot of, if you can see it, there's a lot of rust on them from sitting. So all that's really doing is wearing out the inside of the guide. Well, I got all my valves out, and I also pushed out one valve guide from my intake right here. And it came out pretty good. I ended up using a drift like this, and it pushed out okay. The only problem was it kind of mushroomed in the end, caved it in a little bit, so I'm going to have to find something to put the new ones in that sits nice, you know, with this diameter here instead of just in, you know, about that far, which is what that punch was doing. So it came out okay. I don't know how well you can see down in there, but it didn't score it up or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to knock out the rest of these, and that way I can clean all down inside of here because there's so much carbon and crap built up inside. I can clean down inside here. I can clean this side where the manifold comes out or bolts up, you know, and clean out all the ports and everything and get those all set. I did have to pull out the valve lifter so that way it had enough room to come down, or else it was going to end up hitting the top of this and then I'd really be stuck. So I'm going to have to pull out all my lifters, and then I can press out all my guides, clean this up, and then we should be ready to start pushing new stuff back in. Well, I got the head cleaned up for the most part. I cleaned out all the insides of these ports for the intake and the exhaust. Got a lot of the carbon and the crap out of them and everything. So, last thing I'm going to have to do is run a tap through all the head bolt holes. But first, I got a stone right here. It's a very fine stone, nice and flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make an effort to just dress the head do a figure eight and just clean off some of the little nicks and stuff that's on the top of it, just to smooth it out again. And then I could finish cleaning up the head out there and get that all set. So run the stone over and we can go from there. Alright, so we're ready to start installing the guides. I just pressed one in here, so they actually went in really nicely, a lot easier than they were coming out. So I got a brand new exhaust valve, and this is the one that was all dimpled on the seat. Slides in nice, and I'll show you. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. Maybe, maybe not. Right there, you can see where it's light passing through, and it's all on this edge on this side. You can kind of see it's a little dark around the edge of the seat. So I gotta lap all that in, so I'm debating on probably taking an old valve and lapping it most of the way down and then starting with the new one so I don't wear that one out, because I can't find a valve seat cutter and no one I know has one. So probably gonna put all the rest of these guides in and then we can start in with this valve. All the valves went in fairly nicely. The intake valve stems are actually a little bit thicker than the exhaust ones, so I had to just lightly drive those in with a rubber mallet really gently, and they went in there nice. Everything's seated well, except for this one, of course. So I got my valve lapping compound and tool for lapping, so we're going to start getting these all seated in, and hopefully everything goes well. So they seem to be seating pretty good. Whether it's going to focus or not, you can see where the valve seats sit, and it's actually right on the edge of the valve, which isn't always the best place, but for what it is, it's still not bad. It's lapping in pretty good here. It's missing on this side just a little bit from wear. So I'm going to set this one back up with some compound again and relap it, see if I can get it to seat right on that side. Well, I tried lapping out this exhaust valve here, and it's going to take me a long time to get down to where I need to be. I ended up using an old valve, but you can see when it's in there, I don't know if you can because of the light, but where the gap is on the edge, by the time I lap far enough down to seat this, the edge of the seat, the top edge, is going to end up being on the top edge of the valve, so this is actually going to be sitting really low. So what I'm going to do is, I did find these valve seats online. I'm just going to order an exhaust one, and I can pull this one out and I'll press in a new seat. That way I don't even have to worry about it, and I won't have to spend all that time lapping this one out. But for the time being, I'm going to take, and I got all the springs and my keepers and my little pins. I'm going to put all the springs into these valves, at least get these ones ready to go. So as for this exhaust valve seat here, I was going to order one through Napa. Unfortunately, I was going to have to buy a whole package of them though, which was 12 valve seats, and I only need one. It was going to be about 75 bucks for the whole pack. So I decided to cut this one, and luckily on YouTube, Russ VT guy was kind enough to send me down his valve seat cutter that he had, which is a nice little cutter. It's got a 31 degree and a 46 degree, which worked out perfect because I needed the 46. But it's a New Way cutter. It's a nice little set. Unfortunately, they're really expensive though, but really do appreciate it because it'll move this project along. So what I did is, you can see I started to cut the seat, and we have this side over here that I still have to get down to. So I put some blue Dykem on here, and we're going to keep cutting until we get down to there, and then I can lap in this exhaust valve, and we should be all set to go back together. As you can see, the exhaust valve seat came out fairly nice. Just finished lapping it in along with the valve, so it fits in there pretty well, so that saves me from having to replace the seat. So there you have it, folks. That should take care of all the valves in the engine. In the next video, hopefully we'll be dropping the engine and the transmission back into the tractor.